and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Angie and I'm a chemist who loves makeup. So today we are going to be discussing the ingredients in the different Maybelline foundations, and based on these ingredients, which one is going to be right for you based on your skin type, skin concern, what you're looking for in a foundation. We'll only be sticking to the liquid foundations from Maybelline in this video. We will not be going over any of their powder foundations. So if you've been trying to figure out which foundation from Maybelline that you should get, or if you just want to learn a little bit more about the ingredients in your foundation, keep on watching the video. So first we're going to talk about the Fit Me Matte and Poreless. This has 40 colors and it is $7.99. So this one in particular has a lot of volatile components. Volatile means it's going to evaporate readily at room temperature. Two of these ingredients are denatured alcohol. Denatured alcohol is ethanol. This is the kind of alcohol that you find in your alcoholic beverages, your wine, your beer. And there's also isododecane in this formula, which is also readily evaporating once you apply it onto the skin. This is found in a lot of liquid lipsticks. This is very lightweight. These are gonna help your foundation dry, help set faster. There are also two other volatile ingredients in here, but these are silicones. These are cyclopentasiloxane and cyclohexasiloxane. So these also evaporate, but they also help the foundation spread easily because they are silicones. Next ingredient we're going to talk about is Nylon 12. So Nylon 12 is a fine white powder, and this also helps spreadability. It also gives a very, very nice texture. It'll also help mattify as well. So it's going to help reduce shine while still giving you a nice soft feeling on the skin. So usually with mattifying foundations, a lot of times you'll see what we refer to as film formers. These are going to help it last longer because they form that thin, flexible film on the skin. This helps it not break down, helps it last through the day, but it can make the skin feel kind of drying, which is why a lot of people with drier skin don't like matte foundations a lot of time. This one does have the film formers. It has acrylates copolymer, but it's very, very low. It's around the same concentration as butylparaben, which is a preservative, have very low concentration. So the film formers are very low, so you won't get as long of a lasting a foundation. It won't be like waterproof, and there won't be that dry layer on top of the skin. So this usually makes it easier to layer cream products on top of other foundations, more foundation, and gives you more time to work with the foundation. This one is more of what I refer to as a soft matte foundation. It is not super, super matte. There are a couple of dimethicone ingredients in here, which will kind of have more of that matte finish, but are going to be very comfortable on the skin. So overall, they say it is normal to oily, but I do think the ingredients in here could extend to the dry range. If you want a foundation that doesn't look super dewy and looks slightly matte, even in the winter when my skin is drier, I still don't want to look dewy. I don't want my face to look like wet or oily, but I also don't want to look dull and dry from like a matte foundation. So this is kind of a good hybrid of both. And if you have learned anything so far and you like talking about the science of makeup and skincare, please don't forget to subscribe, and we're going to roll on to the next foundation. Our next foundation is a Maybelline Superstay foundation, and this has 24 colors and it retails for $11.99. So when you look at this one, the top ingredient is cyclopentasiloxane, whereas in the other foundation it was water. And the other solvent that is volatile in here is isododecane. So it is going to evaporate probably more readily than perhaps the Matte and Poreless foundation. And this one does have film formers a lot higher on the list. To read them off to you, they're C3045 alkyl dimethyl polypropyl sesquioxane and polypropyl sesquioxane. These are both silicone resin films. So film formers are going to make this product last longer because it is forming that thin, flexible layer on the skin. This is going to also help it make more resistant to water, help it last longer throughout the day. And as we discussed before, the thing about film formers is sometimes film formers, depending on what they are, make it harder to layer products on top of. That doesn't mean necessarily you're going to have that problem with this one, but that is something to think about in foundations that do have more of these film formers that are claiming to be long wearing. If you like to take your time, if you like to layer up the foundation, if you like to build it, that may not be as good of an option for you with these kind of long wear foundations because of that film and that layer that's difficult to work with on top of the skin. And there are dimethicone based ingredients in here, and dimethicone is going to help transepidermal water loss, which means if your skin is hydrated underneath, that this is going to help it not lose that hydration. And I mention that because there are a lack of humectants in here. There is glycerin in here, but it is kind of low on the list. And there's also dipropylene glycol, which is also pretty much at the bottom of the list. So there are some humectants, but they are kind of low. So you may not get that feeling of hydration when you have this foundation. So if you do want to use this foundation and you err more on the drier side, or you just like to have your skin feel super hydrated, I would highly recommend using a hydrating primer. You make sure your skin is very well moisturized, otherwise you may start to feel like it's attaching to flaky spots. It may feel really like on the skin. I don't know if you appreciated that little sound effect I did, but there you go. So this is good for people who need their foundation to last throughout the day and they have a hard time with it lasting throughout the day. Maybe you're running around everywhere, maybe you're on your feet all day, you work in retail. And also if you like a more matte appearance. Like I said, there are ingredients to prevent water loss if that is important to you, but make sure that you hydrate very thoroughly, get that moisturizing on before you put this foundation on. I'm gonna put some hydrating primers down below for you to check out with my affiliate links. I really love the First Aid Beauty one, and for a more affordable option, Maybelline also has a hydrating primer. Next, we're going to talk about the Maybelline Fit Me, the other one. This is the Dewy and Smooth. It also retails for $7.99, but there are only 24 colors. So this is the sister to the matte and poreless. So this one has an SPF of 18. There's ethylhexyl methoxycinnamate or octinoxate. So this is going to absorb UVB rays, but it's not broad spectrum. It doesn't protect from UVA, which can cause signs of aging, but it does have an SPF of 18. Now, it's unrealistic that with any sort of foundation that has some sort of SPF that you are going to ever achieve that full amount, because the amount you're supposed to put on your skin is 2 milligrams per centimeter squared of your face, and if you applied that much, you probably wouldn't like how much foundation you had on the skin. So when you get this, it is great to have some extra SPF coverage, but I would never rely on this as your sole form. Make sure you wear a sunscreen underneath this, but the extra SPF is not gonna hurt. So in this one, there's only one volatile solvent, which is cyclopentasiloxane. And this is the second ingredient after water. Because it does have less of these volatile components, it's not gonna dry down as quickly. There are also a lot of dimethicone-based ingredients as well as the ingredient dimethicone itself, and this is going to help give a smooth look to the skin. This is what kind of helps smooth it. You find this in a lot of smoothing primers. And this also helps the skin retain hydration. So this is really good if you are someone who does have drier skin and you are trying to keep in any of that moisture you have. This is going to help with that. And a lot of these ingredients are multifunctional. They do give a nice soft feeling to the skin. This also has glycerin, which is going to help give it a thicker consistency, and this is going to help it have more of a dewier finish to it. Glycerin is a humectant. It's really good at drawing in water to the skin, so this is going to be good if you're dry. Helps you bring in more water to the skin. So remember how we've talked about film formers? So this one doesn't have any that I can see in here. So this will not dry down. This is not going to be transfer proof. The ones that I talked about previously, if it does have film formers and they are prevalent, this does help it be transfer proof. This is a key reason why liquid lipsticks don't really transfer. This one's not going to be transfer proof. You can't be sitting there with your hand on your face and expect it not to go anywhere. So if you don't like looking dewy, if you want it to be transfer proof, this is not going to be the foundation for you. So in my opinion, skin is going to be great if you have dry skin, you're looking for more of a dewy appearance. Because of the SPF, if you do want a little bit more SPF, that's going to be good because this does have some, but again, make sure you wear your sunscreen underneath your makeup. So this one in particular, I think is really great as a mixing in foundation, either to help get the color you want. Maybe you want your foundation to be a little bit less matte, or as well, there was a time where I was mixing this in with my moisturizer a lot. I wanted a little bit lighter coverage, but still something to help even out my skin tone. So this works really, really great for that as well too, because again, it doesn't have those film formers, so it mixes in pretty well with everything. Foundation number 4 is the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover Flawless Foundation. This is $12.99 and it comes in 16 colors. If you really want more SPF coverage, this one has an SPF of 50. Again, you're not going to achieve that, but the likelihood of you getting a higher SPF coverage is going to be a lot better with this one than it was with the Dewy and Smooth Foundation. The sunscreen ingredients are homosalate at 10%, octisalate at 5%, and octocrylene at 4%. So these are what you refer to as organic or chemical sunscreens. I try to not use that word because everything is a chemical. I try to stay towards that organic verbiage. In this case, organic means that it contains carbon in here, not the conventional sense of the word, but on this channel when we talk about organic, we're talking about compounds that contain carbon and hydrogen to make up these kind of structures. And again, you're probably not going to achieve SPF, but it still does have a pretty high SPF, so that's pretty good for this one. So this one is supposed to have skincare benefits, which for me, I'm not a really big fan of skincare benefits in my foundation. I want my makeup to be makeup and my skincare to be skincare. But some of these skincare ingredients are niacinamide. This one seems to be pretty decently high up, so it might have some effect, as well as caffeine, which is kind of low, might not have as much effect. And this one also has limonene and citral, which are going to function as antioxidants, and they're very low on the list, but if you found yourself very sensitive to citrus ingredients in makeup or skincare, then this might not be the one for you. I did see a lot of people in the reviews were having reaction to this one, so just keep that in mind if you are someone who is particularly sensitive to those things. So this one is going to help smooth out your skin as well. It has those dimethicone ingredients we talked about, which are going to help give a smooth appearance, going to help prevent water loss, all that good stuff. There's propanediol, and it's a humectant. It's going to draw moisture to the skin. Not as much of it as the last foundation, but there is some humectant in there. There's also vinyl dimethicone, methicone, silicious, oscane, cross polymer. And this is going to help keep the formula from separating. It's going to give a nice texture to the skin. This should also be buildable because the film formers aren't really prevalent in here and are going to not have that layer on the skin that you can't build up. This one's also not going to be transfer proof like the foundation before. The dimethicone does help it not break down as much, but that doesn't really help the transferring aspect, if that makes sense. And this product does have denatured alcohol in it, which I know a lot of people with drier skin tend to worry about, but in this case, I think it's to help with the sunscreen ingredients, to help them penetrate into the skin, help them dissolve better, help act as a solvent for them. I wouldn't really worry too much about the alcohol being in your foundation because you have done your whole skincare routine. There are things like propanediol in this foundation to help kind of counteract that. So I really wouldn't worry about there being the denatured alcohol in here too much. So I think this would be good for someone who does want that smoother base and does kind of want more of a natural skin finish look, not as dewy as the last foundation we were talking about, and also would like a higher SPF coverage. So very similar to the one that we just talked about, but more of a natural looking, a satin looking finish, if you will. We have made it to the last foundation, and this is a Dream Radiant Liquid Foundation. This is $12.99 in 14 colors. So this one's gonna be good if you have dry skin. There's a lot of humectants in here that are gonna help draw moisture to the skin. We got glycerin, we got butylene glycol. There's also sodium hyaluronate, but if you see sodium hyaluronate or hyaluronic acid in a foundation, I really wouldn't take that into consideration of you buying one. It is a humectant, it does draw moisture to the skin, but the thing is with sodium hyaluronate is you can only put like 2% in any formula, not even just a foundation, in any formula before you start getting kind of a gel texture because it is so good at holding onto the water. So at that point, if it's not going to feel good on the skin, people aren't going to use it, so they can't really put that much, but having hyaluronic acid is appealing to a lot of customers because they know it to be hydrating. But really, it's like glycerin, it's butylene glycol in these formulas as the foundation that are actually helping, not really the sodium hyaluronate. It's there for more so for marketing purposes based on where it is. So these humectants and such prevalence are gonna lend itself to having more of a dewy look on the skin. So if you have oily skin, you may not like this as much if you don't like that dewy effect. And this is going to help feel more lightweight because you do have the isododecanes, you do have cyclopentasiloxane as they were before, but again, the difference here is we have more of those humectants that are going to lead to a more dewy appearance as opposed to a matte appearance like in the Matte and Poreless foundation. There are a few dimethicone ingredients that are going to prevent water loss, but I don't feel as they're a high enough concentration as the other formulas. So you might not get as much of a smoothing effect. And this one also has collagen in it. I'm very skeptical in topically applied collagen in terms of it being in this foundation, because again, marketing, but I just want to throw it in there because they do try to claim skincare benefits in these foundations. So I think this one would be good if you want something that's lightweight, you want more of a dewy finish, and you are looking for something that is just going to kind of help even out your skin tone, not necessarily something that's really going to cover up a lot of texture. So I hope that you learned something today. If you did, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you can see more videos where we talk about the science of makeup and skincare. And please let me know down below which brand you'd like me to do next. It could be a brand going through a brand's foundations, other type of products. Just let me know down below what else you would like to see. And with that, I will see you in my next video. Bye!